what I've loved about today is that there has been room for a real spectrum of views, of opinions, of approaches, and I think we are one big kind of happy mess of recovery. We're trying to sort of get it moving forward in some way. I think you're right. I think there's a groundswell of opinion, there's a groundswell of kind of local action that's going around the country. I remember in 2008, I think I took on the role as DAP manager for Surrey on a short-term basis, which ended up being quite a long old contract. And at the time, I remember talking to Fintan Hayes, who was, I knew him in a London context, and he became the regional manager for the South East. And I remember saying to him, I'd listened to Mark when I was in the prison service. I think it was a conference somewhere in Manchester. I was with Cindy Maguire and the sort of prison service lot. And they were talking about recovery when I was in the prison service. I was there between 2003 and 2007. And in 2008, I remember saying to Fintan, they're getting ahead of us in the North East. You know, we need to do something. North East and North West were moving forward. And I said, I'm not owning it. Because Cindy Maguire was a friend of mine, and she was the ADC for the North-East region with, I think it was North-West, I don't remember which side it is, Liverpool side, West, with Les Naylor. And the joke in the prison service was, you know, if London and the North-West agree, the rest of the country follows, because we had the most number of A-grade governors in the prison service. And I remember saying to Fintan, we need to start looking at the mechanics of recovery when it comes to commissioning, when it comes to needs assessments, all of that. And you were running ahead of the pack even then, and I think we are still running to catch up. But I think we're starting to move forward. I think what I like about some of what we've seen today and some of what we've heard is that we are starting to focus on recovery, on the positive, not on the negative. You know, we know everything that there is to know about addiction, and yet we still don't get it. You know, you're absolutely right. But what we know about recovery, we can't, you know, we don't know that much. We can't fill the same amount of libraries that we can around addiction with recovery. I've nicked that quote, by the way, from Bill White, who's a recovery champion. Looks like Colonel Sanders from America. And we really need to move forward in some of the work we're doing on recovery, and how we do that. Again, we're making it up. I don't know how we do it, but I think what we do is we learn from each other and we start to think about how do we measure recovery. Well, I know how to measure addiction. I can do a needs assessment. I can do all sorts of disciplines within the drugs field. But tell me how many people are in recovery in Henley? What are the assets that are at our disposal? Has anyone done an asset-based development needs assessment for Henley? We're trying to at the moment. This is an asset. We're using it. That's an asset in there. We're all assets, but we're not counting our assets. If we talked about recovery in economic terms for this country, we would not be having the same debate. You know, we want recovery. We want our economy to recover. We want to have jobs and homes and security. And when we talk about recovery in economic sense, it's really clear. You know, you can't borrow your way into wealth. You've got to create it. And the same for addiction. We can't medicate ourselves out of addiction into recovery. At some point, we've got to stop using and start, you know, kind of being productive in what we do.